The story begins not with a crown, but with a cradle. On March 30, 1432, in the shadow of the Ottoman Empire's second capital, Edirne, a child was born to Sultan Mehmed II and his concubine Mehmed II. The infant, named Mehmed, entered a world of warring empires, fractured loyalties, and dynastic intrigue. His birth was not celebrated with the fanfare reserved for the firstborn heirs. Mehmed was Murad's third son, but destiny, it seemed, had other plans. Edirne, a city straddling Europe and Asia, was a microcosm of the empire Mehmed would one day rule. Its cobblestone street echoed with the call of Turkish merchants, Greek scholars, and Persian poets. The place where Mehmed took his first breath was a fortress of ambition, marble corridor lined with maps of unconquered land, courtyard where janissaries drilled, and libraries filled with Arabic treasuries on astronomy and Greek scrolls on philosophy. Here, the Ottoman dream of uniting East and West was not abstract, it was etched into every stone. Mehmed's lineage was both a privilege and a burden. His father, Mehmed II, was a ruler torn between war and contemplation. A seasoned warrior who had expanded Ottoman territories into Balkans, Murad was also a Sufi mystic, drawn to poetry and religious scholarship. His court was a paradox, a place where dervish whirled to the rhythm of military drums. Mehmed inherited this duality, a soul spirit between the sword and the pen. But it was his mother, Mehmed Hatun, a slave of uncertain origin, possibly Serbian, Greek, or Circassian, who shaped his early world. Though history has left a few records of her influence seeped into Mehmed's character. Legends say that she sang him Christian lullabies, stories of saints and emperor, blending the spiritual tapestries of two faiths. This cultural ambiguity would later define Mehmed reign, a sultan who could quote the Quran in one breath and Homer's Iliad in the next. By the age 3, Mehmed has handed to a position of tutor, each asked with molding him into weapon of empire. His education was relentless, designed to surpass even the erudition of Byzantine prince. Under the stern gaze of Mullah Girani, a Kurdish scholar formed of his mastery of Islamic law, Mehmed memorized the Quran by age 6. But Girani was no ordinary teacher. He wielded a cane as fiercely as he debated theology, and tales say he once struck Mehmed for laziness, drawing blood. The prince never forgot the lesson. Knowledge was power, and power demanded discipline. Mehmed's curriculum spanned continent. He studied Persian poetry with Ahmed Girani, resurrecting the mystic verses of Rumi. He learned mathematics from Arab scholar who introduced him the work of Al-Khwarizmi, the father of algebra. Greek tutors, many of them Byzantine refugees, taught him Homer, Plato, and the military strategies of Alexander the Great. By 10, he could debate Aristotle's logic in fluent Greek, leaving visiting diplomats stunned. "This is no child," wrote a Venetian envy, but a philosopher in a prince's robe. Yet, Mehmed's education extended beyond books. His father, Murad, took him on military campaigns, schooling him in the art of war. At the age of 12, Mehmed witnessed the siege of Constantinople, 1440, where Murad tested new cannons against the city's legendary walls. Though the Ottoman withdrew, the spectacle imprinted itself on Mehmed's mind. He sketched the Theodosian walls in his journal, noting weaknesses in the fortification. One day, he told a servant, "I will return here, not to knock, but to break." In 1444, the Ottoman Empire faced existential perils. Murad II, exhausted by rebellions in Anatolia and a resurgence in Hungary, made a shocking decision. He abdicated, retiring to a life of meditation in the Manisa. The throne passed to Mehmed, then just 12-year-old. Europe rejoiced. A child rules the Turks, declared King Władysław III of Poland, mustering a crusade to crush the infant Sultan. Mehmed's first reign was a trial by fire. The Janissaries, the empire's elite slave soldiers, bristled at taking orders from a boy. Court viziers, led by the scheming Chandarli Halil Pasha, manipulated him like a puppet. "They think me a lamb," Mehmed said in private, "but I am a lion's cub." The Crusade of Varna, 1444, proved his mettle. As 30,000 crusaders marched towards the Danube, Mehmed's advisor panicked. Halil Pasha secretly begged Murad to return, but Mehmed refused to yield. He ordered troops to block the mountain pass, buying time for his father's army to regroup. When Murad arrived, leading a decisive charge at the Battle of Varna, Mehmed watched from the rear, a humiliating reminder of his perceived weakness. The victory was Murad's, but the cost was Mehmed's pride. Within months, Halil Pasha engineered Mehmed's ouster, restoring Murad to the throne. The boy Sultan was exiled to Manisa, a provincial backwater. To his rival, it was the end of Fars. To Mehmed, it was the beginning of the metamorphosis. Manisa, a tranquil valley in western Anatolia, became Mehmed's crucible. Here, far from the intrigues of Edirne, he immersed himself in the world of books, weapons, and ambition. His court in exile was a who's who of outcasts. Persian cartographers, Italian engineers, and negligible soldier. Among them was Akshamsuddin, a Sufi mystic who would later prophesy Mehmed's conquest of Constantinople. "The city is a bride," the sage whispered, "and you, my prince, are her groom." Mehmed's days followed a monastic rigor. At dawn, he trained with Janissaries officer, mastering the composite bow and the art of siege warfare. By midday, he studied geometry, calculating trajectories for cannons yet unbuilt. Evenings were reserved for language lessons, Arabic, Persian, Serbian, Hebrew, and debates with Jewish physicians on the work of Galen. But it was history that obsessed him. He pored over account of Timur's conquest, Caesar's campaign, and the rise of Islam. In his journal, he sketched a map of Constantinople's defenses, annotating them with the ideas for floating bridges and underground tunnels. "A ruler must see the world as it is," he wrote, "and as it could be." Manisa also sharpened his ruthlessness. When a local governor plotted rebellion, Mehmed invited him to a feast, then had him strangled with a silk cord. "Mercy is for the weak," he told his shocked advisors. "An empire cannot be built on kindness." Murad II meanwhile ruled the renewed vigor, crushing rebellion in Albania and securing peace with Byzantium. Yet he watched his son from afar, torn between pride and fear. Letters between them reveal a fraught relationship. "You study too much," Murad once chided. "A sultan must act, not ponder." Mehmed's reply was icy. "I will act when the time is mine." In 1448, Murad summoned Mehmed to join him on the campaign against the Hungarians at Kosovo. The battle was a bloodbath, with Ottoman cannons decimating cavalry charges. Mehmed, now 16, fought alongside Janissaries, earning his grudging respect. But when Murad offered him a command of flank, Mehmed hesitated, a mistake that allowed the enemy to escape. "You think like a scholar, not a king," Murad growled. The word haunted Mehmed. By 1450, Murad faltered. His final act was to secure Mehmed's succession, ordering the execution of his infant half-brother, Küçük Ahmed, to prevent civil war. When Murad died in February 1451, Mehmed received the news in Manisa. There was no tears, only a woe. "I will finish what my father began." Mehmed's second ascension was a masterclass in realpolitik. He entered Edirne with a retinue of Manisa loyalists, bypassing the capital hostile fractions. His first act, summoning Halil Pasha, the vizier who had betrayed him years earlier. "You served my father well," Mehmed said, his voice deceptively soft. "Now serve me." Halil, sensing the threat, knelt, but the news was already tightened. Next came the ceremonial grinding of the sword, the Ottoman equivalent of a coronation. As the ancient blade of Osman was clapped to his waist, Mehmed turned to crowd. "I am not the boy you knew," he declared. "I am the sword of God, the scourge of empires." The message was clear. Mehmed II would rule alone. Within weeks, he purged the old guard, replacing them with men like Zaganos Pasha, a Devshirme Christian convert, general who shared his hunger for conquest. His childhood tutor, Mullah Girani, became chief judge, ensuring religious approval for his audacious plan. But one goal eclipsed all others: Constantinople. The ancient city, now a decaying husk of its former glory, loomed in Mehmed's mind like a siren's call. "Without it, we are but a kingdom," he told Zagnos. "With it, we are an empire." In 1451, Mehmed sent an ultimatum to Byzantine Emperor Constantine XI: triple the annual tribute or face war. Constantine, desperate, appealed to Europe, but only silence answered. The West, fractured by 100 years of war and papal schisms, had abandoned Byzantium. Mehmed meanwhile prepared. He ordered the construction of Rumeli Hisari, a fortress on the Bosphorus European shore, directly opposite to the Anatolian castle of Andalusari. Together, they form a vice grip on Constantinople's lifeline. When Byzantine envoy protested, Mehmed replied, "What I build on my own land is my affair. Or do you claim Bosphorus as yours?" The fortress rose in 4 months, a marvel of Ottoman engineering. Its cannon, trained on the strait, could sink any ship defying Mehmed's blockade. The Byzantines named it Boğazkesen, the throat cutter. As 1452 drew to a close, Mehmed mustered his forces: 80,000 soldiers, 70 cannons, and a fleet of 120 ships. Among them was the Baliska, a 27-foot bronze monster capable of hurtling 1,500-pound stones. Its engineer, Urban, a Hungarian renegade, boasted it could shatter the wall of Babylon. On April 5, 1453, the Ottoman encircled Constantinople. Mehmed, astride a white stallion, raised his sword. "The city is ours," he vowed. "Let history be made here."